Basketful of Heads, issue 6. Not the final issue, this is a 7-issue book, so there's one more left. But
And this is an awkward one because this was originally meant to be 6 issues and got extended to 7.
So this is issue 6, Joe Hill, Leo Max, obviously doing the book, and this is basically
a second exposition issue.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, is that a complaint? Are you complaining?
I mean, a little bit. Even though I like a lot of what this is, I did feel it back to back, these 2 issues.
The pacing's off.
Yeah,
from where it was.
Maybe this should have been 6 issues, and we could have condensed this and the last issue kind of into one somehow. Because I felt like a lot of this was just here's all the backstory for everything that happened before the book, 2 issues, and then we'll go into the last issue after this.
And I didn't get the threat of the sheriff or the captain, whatever he is here, until the last. Like, if he's meant to be the big bad, they could have seeded it in the last one a little bit more, right? And then here it's he had the shadowy villain aspect to him, and not just because at the end where he full on beats the crap out of the heroine.
Yeah, just to actually go through what's in the issue here. It opens with her cutting off not surprisingly, might I add, she cuts off the son's head, the sheriff's son's head. The deputy.
But not before her severing her own thumb to slip from the handcuffs.
Yeah, so she's lost a finger, much like her boyfriend. Oof. Her and her boyfriend now both have lost fingers.
Honestly, one of my favorite bits is that she's walking through the police station with a bloody hand, and she leans on the wall, and there's just no thumbprint. Like, there's no thumb there on the handprint. I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, really good touch. So one of the things that I really like about all this exposition, though, is how it's all came from really untrustworthy sources. So whenever they talk about her boyfriend and they talk about all, he was flirting with all these girls and all this stuff that he was doing all summer, there was a point in this issue where I kind of stopped and thought about it a minute. These people are like so untrustworthy, especially since eventually there's like a little twist here. The long-haired guy kind of came on to him. And I almost felt like he's the one who told her everything about him flirting with girls, and I'm like, it sounds like he was just jealous now in hindsight.
Well, I think it was what I've noticed as well is the art did not necessarily accurately portray. Sometimes it was showing us the truth, and sometimes it was exaggerating even further. Because there's a bit early on where this is, he always had a few half the buttons on his shirt undone, and then on that same panel, as you see the image, he has no buttons done up whatsoever.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm like, well, okay, that's already making me not trust this.
And I actually really like the personal touch of that twist, because this desire to get this tape back, whatever's on this tape that's going to incriminate them. I like the idea that one of these guys who's closeted is also personally wanting to make sure that his secret's not on there as well. Like, that's why he's so determined to get it back. So I like that little personal touch to it, so that it wasn't just the raw crime aspect of it, which is kind of cool. And I like the insanity of her threatening to cut off their ears and stuff, because he's like, no, you're going to call your father and tell him everything's okay. And of course, it backfires on her a little bit, because it turns out they had a code word in case something was up, which is how she gets caught, because she obviously goes out to the boat to get her boyfriend at the end of the issue, and the captain doubles back because he knows something's up. And with the cliffhanger is her being thrown into the water with her hands tied, so it looks like she's going to drown. Of course, I expect,
and she's attached to an anchor as well.
And an anchor, yeah.
Yes.
So, but there's some great visuals here. I loved her when she was going to the marina and she's just got the raincoat on and she's standing on the cliff edge with the axe and the basket full of heads.
Yeah, it's a great image. if that was a teaser poster, right? That'd be pretty great for the eventual. But just the pacing a little bit off, but I still like. Yeah,
I have to admit, you two started off with this negativity, and I have to say I don't agree with any of it. I was into this issue.
The thing is, I like what's in the issue, but in terms of the story as a whole, I really felt like, okay, we're ground to a halt for 2 issues in a row now to have the backstory, and I really did feel it.
I didn't feel it at all, because you two started off with this sentiment that you both shared, and it set a tone for this review, and I feel like I don't agree with any of it. For me, this flowed perfectly fine, and I actually enjoyed sort of twisting and turning, because it kind of put a new light in the exposition from last time. So for me, in the context again of this just kind of being a 90-minute movie and where we are in the story here, it just kind of all felt like it made sense to me. A big chunk of the story is kind of her time with the son and all the stuff that comes out from that.
In the sense of a 90-minute movie, I felt like instead of having 7 minutes of exposition, here we got 15, and I didn't need that much in one go. Is kind of how I feel.
I don't know. It ever hit me at all. At all. So I was really into this, and then the threat of the sheriff coming back at the end, and just like the fight and her reaching for the axe. We know that she's quite handy with that axe now. She's decapitated like 3 people. She's really good with that axe, and she's trying to get to it, but she just can't, and she gets tied up, and she's she's screwed at the end. So
it got super dark there at the end. Like, I don't know how she. That said, I didn't know how she was going to get out of the last one, and then you find out that she had cut out. There's none of that here unless she managed to free her boyfriend before, and he can dive in and save her.
It definitely didn't look like
whatever.
it. He was still tied up as she was being grabbed out. But I mean, who knows?
I have no way of how they get out of this.
Yeah.
Time travel's not an option, right? It's a magic axe, not a time turner.
Yeah. So... Actually, one of the things that I really liked is in backstory as well, is because we kind of get the hint of this last time that there's obviously the sheriff and the others are all corrupt, and they've got a drug empire in the town. I kind of like this idea that if anyone from outside the town comes in to sell drugs, like the sheriff will put an end to it immediately.
Yeah.
Like don't you dare come into our turf and take our customers. Like,
right.
Yeah.
I like that element to it. So.
But yeah, art's still pretty good. There's a couple.
Still kind of great. I have a lettering critique.
Yeah. Which is.
It is the code word Toyota.
Uh-huh.
I feel like they didn't need to bold that because it was bolded when they put that in there, and it was just in the normal conversation. It immediately stood out as, okay, well that was a code word then, and it kind of took a little bit of the suspense away from the ending for me.
Okay. What are you giving it, Matt?
I'll give this an 8. It's still pretty solid.
Connor?
I'll give it a 7.5.
I'm about a 9. I had 0 problems with this issue.